The Premier has spent a few days visiting the home fleet in northern waters. Sir Stafford Cripps went with him, and they steamed out to the anchorage in Faulkner, one of the destroyers which escorted the recent big convoy to Russia. Admiral Tubby, the Commander-in-Chief, welcomed the Premier and his party aboard the flagship, and afterwards many ships were inspected. In every ship, the men of the fleet were as enthusiastic about the visit as the Premier was himself, and that's certainly saying something. In many vessels, Mr. Churchill addressed the ship's companies and told them what he and the country think of their great devotion to duty, not only in taking the convoys through, but in all those unspectacular, routine jobs of work that make up the service of the fleet today. Battleships, depot ships, destroyers and aircraft carriers were inspected, and he also boarded the cruiser Scylla, in which Admiral Burnett, here seen with the Premier, commanded the escort of that Russian convoy. And he told the men of the Scylla what we all think of that magnificent job of work. Obviously, everyone enjoyed the visit and drew inspiration from it. In Edinburgh, Mr. Churchill carried out an inspection at the castle where civil defence was on parade. He saw that Edinburgh was ready for all emergencies, and Edinburgh saw that the Prime Minister was looking well in spite of a cold. Confidence fairly radiated from him. His drive through the city brought forth an ovation as he went with Lord Provost Darling on his way to the Usher Hall to receive the freedom of the city and to address the gathering on the present phase of the war. Lord Provost Darling.
It is with special pleasure that I now ask you to accept the freedom of our ancient city, and it is my privilege and honor to add your name to the long and illustrious roll of our honorary burgesses.
The Premier has said that though he has had a number of invitations since the war, Edinburgh's is the first freedom that the hard pressure of events has allowed him to receive. Edinburgh's honour ranges him with many highly distinguished prime ministers of the past, like Gladstone, Disraeli, Palmerston and Peel. Before his address, he had the brighter lights dimmed, but the brilliance of his remarks are compensation.
Our enemies have been more talkative lately. Ribbentrop, Goering, Hitler have all been making speeches which are of interest because they reveal with considerable frankness their state of mind. There is one note which rings through all these speeches. It can be clearly heard above their customary boastings and threats. The dull, low, whining note of fear. The most striking and curious part of Hitler's speech was his complaint that no one pays sufficient attention to his victories. Look at all the victories I won, he exclaimed, in effect. Look at all the countries I've invaded and struck down. Look at the thousands of kilometers that I've advanced into the lands of other people. Contrast these exploits, he says, with the performances of the Allies. Why are they not downhearted? How do they dare keep up their spirits in the face of my great successes and their many misfortunes? Why, Hitler has begun the large-scale maltreatment of British prisoners of war. He wishes to throw a new topic into the arena of world discussion and so divert men's eyes from the evident failure, so far, I always say so far, of his second vast campaign against Russia. The heroic defense of Stalingrad the fact that the splendid Russian armies everywhere are intact, unbeaten, unbroken, nay, counter-attacking with amazing energy along the whole front from Leningrad to the Caucasus Mountains. It strikes a chill into his marrow, because in his heart he knows that with all his tremendous victories and vast conquests, his fortunes have declined, his prospects have darkened to an immeasurable degree in the last 2 years, while at the same time Britain, the United States, Russia and China have moved forward through tribulation and sorrow, steadily forward, steadily onward, from strength to strength.